Hello, hello. Welcome back to Horse Center. I'm Wild Jamie, and my amazing co-host Swiss Army Sean is with me tonight, as always. And our special guest tonight is none other than the official track handicapper and simulcast host for Presque Isle Downs, and that is Patrick Morell, better known as Pimo. Pimo, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, thanks. How are you guys tonight? Everybody good?
Very good. And we are so excited to have you on. I'm a huge fan of yours. First things first, I must say congratulations for another great round of picks today, especially your best bet of the day.
Tell us a little bit about that. Who rode the horse. You might just kind of know him.
Yep.
And it's actually, it's funny, Jim, you talk about that horse, Super Blessing, because the full sibling, obviously my girlfriend Cass Judd, trains that horse. And it's near and dear to my heart because a good friend of mine, Joe Ambrosia, who used to train for me a million years ago, actually broke that horse that Willie won on today. He does all the training at Live Oak. So it's kind of came full circle. And I actually did the mating on the dam of that horse when I stood Summer Bird when I worked at Paul's Mill. So a lot of angles about that whole race today, which is pretty exciting.
Very cool. Very cool. And I love it. You're already bringing up some of the stuff that I definitely want to chat about because you've actually done a lot of things in this industry. Sometimes we see, the handicappers are just kind of coming in from the outside media world or something like that. They haven't really done anything else with horses, but that is not the case with you. So tell us a little bit about your background, like how you got started in horses, all that.
Well, basically, when I was little, I used to watch the Derby with my grandfather. And I remember one specific time that I turned around to him after we watched the Derby. I said, Pap, I want to own one of those someday. The rest is history. When I was 25, I bought my first racehorse down at Mountaineer. And, not that that's like a fantastic place or anything, but it was the closest racetrack that we had to where I lived. And because of that, it just kind of blossomed from there. I've met a lot of people there and just got totally entrenched in the industry. And when I was 39, I had I had a very corporate job. I have, I went to college. I was on my way to law school. The horses kind of got in the way. I decided not to go. And, I probably should have gone to law school, but yet here I am. And it's just been, it's been a lot of fun. And when I was 39, I just got so tired of the corporate world and the corporate structure and how I had to answer to people that I just didn't really want to answer to, unfortunately. And I said, you know what? I just want to do this full time. And I ended up meeting the former chairman of the Board of Breeders' Cup, Tom Lute, who later became the chairman of the Board of Breeders' Cup. And he offered me a job selling seasons at Vinery back in 2007. I took a massive leap of faith, didn't know anybody, moved to Lexington by myself, didn't have a clue. And the second night I was there, I was so homesick, I wanted to go home. I literally called home and said, I'm coming home. And I got talked out of doing that, and I stuck it out. And that was when I was 39. I'm 55 now, and I've done a lot of different things in this game. I mean, ran a big farm, ran stallion divisions, been an owner, been a breeder, still a breeder, done the simulcast hosting, worked in the racing office, got to be the assistant to Tom Lute. I mean, and worked for some big industry leaders. So it was nice. It's been a fun ride. And certain things that you always remember, like Jimmy, I'll tell you the truth. I mean, one of my fondest memories, one of the best races I ever won, Willie won for me my first start ever at Churchill on a horse I claimed for $5,000 called Anne's Emblem. Yeah. And Willie's, I mean, if you come to mine in Cass's house, my girlfriend, and in Lexington, I mean, it's like the Willie Martinez show. He's all over my wall. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's like that here too. I get it.
Yeah, so he's got two rooms dominated.
What's that, Sean?
I said he's got two rooms dominated with his pictures.
No doubt about
one
that.
in Florida, one in Kentucky.
Yeah, Willie's been my friend since 2003. We've known each other. He rode for me, when Steve Margolis trained for me. So it's been a long, long time ago.
Yes. Willie absolutely raves about you. He's ridden a lot of horses for you, like you said. And he just has, I don't know, he has nothing but great things to say about you. And I just have to bring up this comment that's hilarious. Way to work those connections, Jamie. Well, Grandma Horse Racing, let me tell you, Timo has all the connections because Willie told me that it does not matter what track you walk into, who you see, Timo knows them. No matter where you go, he knows everyone everywhere. So
Willie does know everybody everywhere. I can tell you that much. There's no question about that. He is very, very well traveled.
And you are as well. So tell us a little bit, because you're really our first handicapper officially that we've had on this horse center. Tell us a little bit about what exactly you do.
I mean, basically, so in the mornings, and I do a lot more now because I'm doing things for Twin Spires also. So I have to do them the day before, which I don't mind doing that, Jamie. But the problem is sometimes when you get a scratch, it may change the entire complexion of the race. So if you have the lone speed and that horse gets scratched, then you've got to go back to the drawing board. And you've got to try and figure out, okay, how's this race going to set up? Is anybody going to inherit the lead? Or are they all going to kind of sit back and say, hey, you go, no, you go. And you try and figure that out. That's the only disadvantage I think I have in it doing the day before, because I usually love to do it the day of, because then you get the scratches and you don't have to go back and change picks either, like I had to do today due to some scratches. So
sure, absolutely. Sean knows all about that, right, Sean?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the other thing I want to talk about is everybody wants to be right, but at the same time you got to make value in the game. So how do you balance what you think the odds are going to be with your top pick?
Well, for me, a lot of times, though, you have to understand too, our director of racing, Matt Ennis, has told me at least 2 or 3 times, he's like, Patrick, I don't care. He goes, obviously he's not a horseman. And he'll tell you that. He's an accountant, he's a CFO, and he knows that angle of the business. He's like, I don't care. He goes, just try and pick winners. He goes, I don't care if they're 12-1 or they're 1-2. I just want you to pick winners. So I'm like, okay. So that's what I try and do the most, because you have to understand too, a lot of times, guys, the people that actually come physically to the racetrack, they're not heavy. Not our heavy guys are online. We all know that. But you'll have guys that are, they might spend $2 to $10, and you just want to get them winners so they keep churning and keep wagering and stay in the game and have fun, enjoy themselves. That's what I try and do. I mean, if something's obvious, then like Jamie, for instance, Super Blessing today was so obvious to me. The moment I saw the form come out, I'm like, this horse is going to gallop, and really knows the horse. He broke it. That horse broke his maiden on the Tapeta. My girlfriend Cass trains the full sibling. He won 2 in a row last year here. They love this racetrack. These Temple cities are unbelievable here. So in that regard, it's obvious, and you just have to do that. You don't want to try and pick something that's going to be 10-1. It's just not going to be live. You don't do that. So that's what I try and do for the people who like to wager on our races.
Because there's no value in a losing ticket. That's why.
No, exactly. I mean, you're just going to throw it on the ground, right, Sean? I mean, that's what you do. I don't want to, I don't want to do that. I mean, but there are days I have long shot plays. And in fact, there was a horse that won today I talked about that I had originally when the horse came from Gulfstream, and that was Charlotte the Brit. And she won, I think, the race 1 or 2 races before Willie ran today. So I think it was in the 4th or the 5th race. He was in the 7th. So with that being said, I love that horse that day. And that horse was like 10-1. I'm like, how can he let this horse go at 10-1? Because I know that the Gulfstream Park form on their Tapeta transfers so well to ours. It's almost like when Keeneland was still Poly, and we would go down there, and obviously they were the lower level races at Keeneland in the fall. But people like Mike Rogers would go down there and just beat up on them, something fierce, and they would just scratch their heads, and they couldn't believe, the hard boots in Kentucky couldn't believe the boys from Pennsylvania were coming down there and beating them up. Now, obviously, it wasn't the great stakes races, but on the $10,000, $20,000 claimers, we were ripping it up there. So as you progress, like with my job, you learn certain things, certain angles. Like for me, pedigree means so much too. Emerging sire lines like Temple City, Animal Kingdom, Noble Mission, English Channel, those kind of horses do so well over our surface. The Pennsylvania sire, Wigilia. A lot of people don't even know who he is. They wouldn't have a clue. They don't even know how to pronounce his name, but they run great. You'll see Timmy Girton with a lot of those horses. The Warriors Rewards. I brought Warriors Reward to Pennsylvania for all the boys in Mechanicsburg and Donnie Brown and those guys. And those horses run very, very well on our Tapeta. So you kind of learn as many angles as you can Trainers mean a lot. Jocks mean a lot. You know, you might have a guy who's one-dimensional the way he rides, and you see the way the race is going to develop, and you just immediately pitch him, whether you like the horse or not. There's just so many different things and angles that people can use in order to move their handicapping up to the next level.
Now, one thing I'm interested in, you said how big pedigree is. And pedigree is one thing, out of all the handicapping angles, pedigree is not something I've really learned or really have gone to. Right. So if somebody like me that really wanted to get into the pedigree game, where would you start?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is, obviously, if our track is completely different. We run on a synthetic surface. We have the safest racetrack in America. It's unbelievable. But you also have to know those pedigrees in order, and usually they're turf sires most of the time. We are synthetic, our Tapeta basically, it basically, transfers over to turf. Not always, but a lot. So start looking at turf sires and start trying to figure that out. For me, I buy a lot of horses at public sale because I'm a bloodstock agent also. So I buy a lot of horses at public sale, and we follow these pedigrees because we have to. If we don't, we can't capitalize on the horses that we buy. So it's more about studying. My mom was a school teacher for 35 years, and she pushed education so much. And she's like, you have to study. You have to study. She goes, you know what she said to me one time? She goes, I'm so glad we spent all that money on that fancy education we bought you, and all you do is stick your head in the stallion book. So that's what I would do. I would just go through the stallion book, and you don't do that as much anymore because everything's obviously online now, but you can still get them. But I would go through page by page every single stallion and try and figure stuff out. Look at pedigrees. And I'm not like one of these people that says, oh, they only breed on paper. We still breed to what's hot because we have to sell sometimes. So we still do that. Don't get me wrong. But for us as handicappers here at Presque Isle, we need to follow those pedigrees, because if we don't, we don't have that extra angle that we get. Like I said, with some of those sire lines that I just told you guys, that's what you really need to follow, because it does give you an edge. I told a friend one time, I said, you ever seen Animal Kingdom run here first time? Make sure you bet it. I don't care if it's 30-1, just bet it. He did, cashed a nice ticket. He's like, man, you were right. They just run like the wind. For some reason, they love this surface. So
very cool.
So what's your number? What's your number one handicapping angle that when you see it in the program, it's like, I gotta, besides maybe Animal Kingdom, like you said there, where you light up and you're like, okay, I gotta play it. This horse wins all the time with this kind of angle.
Well, I keep going back to this example, Jamie, who Willie rode today, Super Blessing. I mean, you see a horse that has performed well over the surface to begin with. He wins first time out, maiden special weight. He runs third in a little juvenile stake, and then he didn't run any good in the next juvenile stake, but today he's coming back. So basically, I always say that sometimes these horses like to play in their own sandbox. So he was back in his own sandbox today. We always say that about the Pennsylvania breds, when they run against open and they're competitive, and then they get to run against their own kind in their own sandbox. Well, I love these Pennsylvania races because you always look for that angle. You look for somebody that's been running open and been competitive, but might not quite be able to win there. But then they come back and they play against their own kind. I mean, it's a lot easier running against PA breds than it is running against these good Kentucky breds or Florida breds or whatever. So that's probably, though, Sean, one of my biggest thing is class and current form. I mean, you've got to find a horse that's in current form. You just do. It's important. If they're tailing off, then they're either going to need to be dropped, which is another great angle to use, get some class relief. I'm getting older. I can't run with the young kids anymore. I got to run with the old guys. I'm 55 years old now, so I got to run with the old guys. But even though I have a lot of energy, but still, it's hard for some of these horses as they become older and they get, they've been around a while. And that's another cool thing about Presque Isle. You'll see a lot of older geldings, especially, and older mares, 7, 8, 9, 10. I mean, we saw a horse today, Abby Snow White. She's 10 years old. She's still running. She just got beat today.
Yeah.
So
that's all.
Those are probably the biggest things that I look for is definitely class. Class means so much, and you can tell if a horse loves what he does and wants to be there. Like Super Blessing today, like You couldn't find him with a search warrant when he turned for home. Literally, I'm like, where the hell is Willie at? Like, you're making me look bad, bro. And all of a sudden, here he comes like a freight train right out of Texas, man. He's just rolling down the stretch and literally just wraps him up because he had so much steam under him. It was unbelievable.
I'm glad you brought up the horse's age, though, because I do social media for TVG, and it's always a hot topic thing. People think it's cool when a horse wins at 10, and then you always got those naysayers that are like, why are they running at 10? But like you said,
because they love it.
Yeah. If they didn't love it, they wouldn't be winning the race, right?
Yeah.
No, I mean, they wouldn't listen. Some of these horses, they get older. I've owned plenty of them. I mean, they get older, some of them, and they just don't want to do anything anymore. They start getting what we say smart. Like, hey, I'm getting fed tonight. It doesn't matter. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, and they're still gonna feed me. They're still gonna do me up after the race, and they're gonna dote over me and give me hugs, and that's what we always did. You know, I see how Cass treats her horses, whether they win, lose, or draw. She still takes good care of them no matter what. But some of them just get smart and they're like, yeah, I'm done running. But some of these horses, like, you know, like the English Channel just won Channel Maker. He's 9 years old. He just won the greatest stake. Wasn't it a greatest stake in Saratoga this past weekend? You know why they do it? Because they love it. You know, so, you know, and the fact that some of these people say these horses don't love to run, well, they've never been around them enough. Because I've raced a lot of horses, man, and they love to run. And
if I have it correct, in New York, he's actually ineligible to run next year because he'll be 10 years old, if I have that right, which is crazy, too.
Old, you know? And, you know, we had a horse we retired here. We just had a race named after him the other day, Stevis, man. He would have come back, but he's 13 now. He's just not eligible. You know, so he was perfectly sound. You know, so the fact of the matter is, you know, they say, oh, well, he was 12. Well, I'm sure he was broke down. He was not. He was not. Like, he would have went back in training and it wouldn't have been a problem.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned about getting smart, too. We've had trainers on and stuff, too, that said as the horses get older, they actually do get more safe and smart running.
Well, they know how to take care of themselves. Sean.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
That's the exact quote people say. Yep.
Yeah, they do. They know what they're doing, and they're not dumb. I mean, these animals are not dumb. Don't ever think they are. They're very smart. I mean, they do some stupid stuff sometimes. Don't get me wrong. You know, because we have the old saying, a thoroughbred wakes up in the morning with two thoughts, homicide or suicide. And, you know, you laugh about it, but I mean, they do get themselves in pickles sometimes. And it's just like, what were you thinking, bro? And then you just laugh about it, and then, you know, everything's okay. But, you know, it's just the way of the thoroughbreds. Let me put it that way.
Absolutely. Now we've got a bunch of comments I want to get to here.
Sure.
Con of Cons ran till he was 12 and is still winning. From Ryan Troy Tripp was going to mention Channel Maker. Let's see here. Christopher D'Souza says, bless your mom. And Jordan Park says, Presque Isle Downs has a great track announcer. Love Jeff's calls. And then this is a pretty interesting question from Ryan Troy Tripp. Do you like building multiple race tickets? Pick 3s, 4s, etc.
I actually love the pick 5s we have on Monday, because I'll tell you why. Since we have had Twin Spires really get involved, and I mean, and as you guys know, we're part of the First Family Racing Churchill Downs. So Twin Spires, one of our sister companies, we have a pick 5, hit it and split it on Mondays on the late pick 5, starts in a 4th race, and they add an extra $2,000 in there. So it makes it even better and more advantageous to go ahead and get some more money in the pot. And we've been doing very well with that. Yeah, I do like doing those because, I mean, it's obvious that's where the money's at. I mean, it's obviously a lot harder. There's no question about that. But, you know, it is definitely fun to do. And, you know, and the other thing is, too, I think, you know, if you have a person who loves racing, then get your friends involved. Get a bunch of you guys together. Maybe 5 of you guys go in and you put in $10, $20 a piece. And you figure out some stuff to make, you know, hit it, you know, try and hit a pick 5, and it comes back, you know, $1,000, and you all split it up. I mean, that's what makes it fun. Going to the track with your friends and trying to hit and make some money and enjoy yourself. And that's what it's about. It's about being relaxed and having a good time at the races. And I love the passion that you guys have in the game, because I feel that I have that too. And I try and put that into my show every single day. And listen, there are days I have bad days like everybody else, believe me. And you don't always want to be there, and you just kind of want to be home. Maybe you don't feel good, or, you know, something else rattled you a little bit, but you got to do it. You got to put on that face. You got to try and do the best you can. But I think for people like all of us and and people like Cass and Willie and, you know, Ronnie Potts and Mike Rogers. We just all love it so much that it's become so ingrained in our souls that we just want to do it every day. And we might complain about it at night because we're dead tired. And I don't do what the horsemen do. I mean, I'm kind of, you know, a quasi kind of horseman. I mean, I ran a big farm in Pennsylvania for a while, and, you know, it was okay. But at the end of the day, I don't toil in the barns like everybody, you know, all my horseman friends do. And my hat's off to them because it's every day. I mean, it doesn't end. I mean, it just never stops, guys. And, you know, the meter's always running no matter what. You've got to feed these animals. You got to take care of the stalls. You got to do the water buckets. You got to do the feed tubs. And those are the trainers and the grooms and the hot walkers. Those are the real heroes. It's not the people like us in the offices. I mean, is our job important? Yeah, sure. But without them taking care of these horses, none of this works. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Two questions about the pick 4, pick 5. Would you rather be out early or rather just miss?
Oh, I'd rather be out early. All day long. I was a jock agent in late 2021 at Tampa. And it was like the most miserable experience I ever had. Unfortunately, my father was getting close to passing away. And I was hopping back and forth between Pittsburgh and Kentucky and Florida and Tampa and everything. And I remember one day Jermaine Bridgman, who was one of my riders down there, we were just hanging out at the races. He's like, hey, let's play a pick 5 today. He goes, I think we can hit it. I'm like, okay, why not? So we hit the first 4. We're waiting for the 5th one. I'm ready to vomit because I'm looking at the wheel pace, and we had like 3 horses, and the lowest one we had was like $2,600. I'm doing backflips. You know, I'm like, son of a bitch. We only have 3 horses, though. I hope we hit this. And I was sweaty bullish. So, Sean, that's basically my answer. You know, yeah, I would have rather. And obviously, we hit it, so I was happy. We got $2,600. Of course, it was the lowest one of the 3, but we hit it. But if we wouldn't have, I would have rather been out after the first race and said, heck with this, I'm done, you know?
Absolutely. And then that's the other question. So you were alive with those 3, $2,600. Do you ever hedge?
Oh, yeah, we always Dutch the race. Yeah, I was Dutching the race with my horses. Yeah. I wasted probably $70 or $80 Dutching the race, which was fine because we smoked it. But, you know, it doesn't always work out that way, unfortunately. If it did, I probably, you know, would be in Sheridan, Wyoming at Big Sky Polo playing polo all summer and not worrying about it. But that's just how it is.
All right, we got a couple more comments. I'm sorry, there's like just comments flooding in here. So keep interrupting you, Sean. But from Ryan Gillespie, Patrick, what's up, buddy? Hope you're well.
He's one of my old Mountaineer friends. Yeah.
Hey, there you go.
He's a good guy.
Yes, love Ryan. And from Grandma Horse Racing, do you think sire lines fade over time?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Because, I mean, you know, we've basically lost a lot of like the Mr. Prospector. Do they fade completely? No. You're always going to have, I mean, as long as all of the 3 of us are going to be alive, you're going to have a Northern Dancer influence without question.
Right.
You probably will still have some Mr. Prospector. You'll have some Seattle Slew. So, yeah, I guess that's a tough question. Will it fade? Yes, but not in our lifetime.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, most of them will not. Yeah, of the big ones. So that's what I think.
Very cool.
I don't know how many more licks I got left in me. I'm already 55, so you know, who knows?
You're aging spectacularly well. And I just want to do a quick shout out. Anyone who does not watch the Presque Isle Downs races, you've got to tune in. You've got to see Pimo's show. It's absolutely fabulous. That's one of my favorite parts of going to Presque Isle. And it was so much fun. This summer, I, of course, went there and I had my kids there. And they got to meet Patrick and they were so excited. They were like, wow, I love your outfit. Because he had on like, you know, some nice little outfit there. And then they saw him on TV. And my one daughter, she's only 6. She goes, Mom, that's my friend. I'm like, yep, that's him.
and I love it. I love it that the kids are there, Jamie. I just, you know, my hope is that we would have more kids come to the races because, and there's a lot of times I put the kids on the show with me, you know, doing a paddock preview and I'll ask them who they like just because the reason being is that's the future of our game. And, we're under a lot of fire right now. And things, you see Golden Gate's going to close. Now, Turf Paradise just mentions they're going to close. Listen, are we a Saratoga or a Churchill or a Gulfstream? No, we're not. And I try basically with all my heart to try and make Presque Isle as good as it can be. And I'm one person, but it's, to me, those children, they are going to be the ones that are going to be the stewards, and follow with stewardship of racing later on. And, listen, I see what my girlfriend goes through every day when we wake up. I wake up with her. It's at 4:50 a.m. The coffee's going off and I'm waking up and she's busting her butt, and Willie's out there busting his butt every morning. I see him because I stop down on the backside and chat with him and John Fennessy and a few other people, and and I see how hard they work. And the kids today, they want instant gratification. They don't want to see this through. They don't want to have to get up that early. Listen, there are times I don't want to have to get up that early either, and I don't even have to be at the park. But
fair enough.
But we have a labor of love with these animals, and and if you don't have the passion for it, then you just don't have the passion for it. And it's hard to find those people that do. I hear a lot of my friends that aren't in the industry. They're like, well, you're in a dying game. I said, well, come see my friends. It's not dying. They get up every damn day. They don't quit. They keep rolling. They persevere, and it gets tough. And sometimes you don't have the money to do it, but you find it. And sometimes there's a lot of ebbs and flows about thoroughbred racing, but man, if the fire burns in your heart, then you've got to do it. It's just like, that's why I left corporate America, because I hated it so bad. I would have been literally, if I would have stayed, I just made partner. If I'd have stayed I did closings. I worked at a title company. I did closings like my dad did. And if I'd have stayed probably in another 3 or 4 years, I'd have been completely retired. I wouldn't have had to worry about anything. I'll probably work till I die now. But you know what? At least when I get up in the morning and I know I get to be around these thoroughbreds, it makes it a lot more palatable. I never got up in the morning when I was at the title company and got excited about doing a settlement sheet and doing a closing. Nobody gets excited about that. You never heard anybody lose their voice cheering for a mutual fund.
Yeah.
I almost lost my voice cheering for Willie today.
Yeah.
I was so excited for him, and that's what's really cool. I'm not allowed to own racehorses anymore, which that's the part that I hate, because I love racing. But at the end of the day, I get to cheer for all my friends, and I have a lot of friends here. I really do. And like Willie, we've been friends since 2003. He rode my first racehorse for me at Churchill, my first Churchill horse, and Mike Rogers, like a father to us, John Fennessy is like a big brother, and Ron Potts is a brother to me. It's just these people, they're just wonderful people, and you're always going to have some knuckleheads. That's just life. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, you're going to have it. But the friends I've made in the horse industry, just the real friends, there's none better. It's an amazing group. And then, what I really love about the thoroughbred industry is like when somebody's really down, like if one of your friends, something happens catastrophic, everybody steps in. I've seen it at the sales too, where someone has passed away and had a big consignment and everybody else steps in and gets it done for them. So, that's what's really so great about it.
Could not agree more. The racetrack, it really is a family.
It is. Sometimes it's a dysfunctional family, but it's still a family. Let me put it that way.
Dysfunctional's in the definition of family, so that just goes.
Yeah, well, we put the fun in dysfunction. Let me put it that way. So that's where. But at Presque Isle, the good thing is we are actually on the rise. I talked to my boss Matt Ennis today. Our export handle this year is up $5 million already from this point last year. So awesome. I think, we've got a lot of good things going on, especially now, TVG is, or FanDuel now. FanDuel's pushing us a lot more. We're on there quite a bit more. Twin Spires is helping us out quite a bit. So, there's some really great things going on at Presque Isle.
Very cool.
And that's
I wasn't aware of that.
that's actually a subject. Everybody gets excited about Del Mar, Saratoga. They have all this coverage, yada yada. And I always think to myself, you could go to a track like Presque Isle, don't have to worry about the people, Penn National, any of these tracks, and get the same type of thing. Yeah, you don't get the quality of the horse, but at the end of the day, they're all racing. They're all beautiful creatures. I never understood where like people are paying $800 for Breeders' Cup tickets to sit at a seat.
$800.
Yeah.
I just heard. Now, Cass is here. She has laryngitis. She's had laryngitis all week. She heard that. She just laughed because trust me, our Breeders' Cup tickets were not $800. I wish they were $800. Trust me, we sat in the chateau, and you know what? YOLO, guys. You live one time in your life. I'm gonna have fun, and the day I die, I want to spend my last dollar.
Yeah,
I don't care.
You can't.
I want to be at the races too.
Between that and like you said too about the $2 better, or I always say get people to the track, and they're like, oh, but people aren't betting. I don't care if they bet $2 or $5. Eventually, you go to the track enough, you're gonna start betting more. And I think that's something in the game that we got to change too. Is that $1,000 better a week has this thing against the person that bets $50 a week. I think we're
Well, we have a group of fans that are there every day. There's 4 people, and they're all retired. A lady named Connie, a lady named Diane, and a lady named Christine, and her husband, Mike. And they're right up on the rail. They're railbirds right in front of the board. I don't know, Jamie, if you saw them there. They have their lawn chairs they bring every day.
Yeah.
They never miss a day. When I say they never miss a day, they don't miss a day. They might only bet $4 or $5 a race, but they're there every single day. I don't care about that. I love that they're there. I love that they interact with, like Connie is in love with Antonio Gallardo, like in love with him. He comes in a winner's circle on the back of a horse. He blows her kisses, and they just get the biggest kick out of it. And it's things like that. And some of these fans, I mean, we have some rabid fans here at Presque Isle, which is awesome, and I love that. I love seeing that. And I don't care that they only bet that much. I mean, we all know where the whales are coming from. They're online, they're sitting at their house, and they're betting $1,000 a race. And that's great, and Sean, to get back to your point, Del Mar, Saratoga, Keeneland, like I've been to all those places. I've been racing at all of them. I've been to over 30 derbies. I've been to probably 10 Breeders' Cups, and it's been spectacular. But still, there was nothing, Jamie, in the world. Like I won nickel claiming races, non-2 of a life, and I thought I just won the Derby. The day that Willie won for us at Churchill with Anne's Emblem, literally, I lost my voice screaming for this horse, and I got really, really inebriated that evening. And it was the biggest celebration in the world. We yelled so much that I thought they were going to throw us out of the clubhouse.
Oh, that's great.
I'm not joking. Like we were going crazy, and they thought, hey, whatever. But that's what makes it nice. I just wish we had, I wish we had more people that come to the racetrack every day. It would be wonderful, but. It's just not that kind of world anymore, where a lot of people would rather just sit on a couch and watch it online. And I get that. And I don't care as long as they're watching. That's all I care about. I want them to be part of us. I want them to see the Presque Isle program and how safe our racetrack is. And it's, the welfare of our horses and our riders are paramount to me. That means so much to me. We don't have the problems that the tracks that have the dirt tracks have. And that's my favorite thing, because I don't worry about it. I don't hold my breath. I mean, let's talk about the elephant in the room. I mean, there are times that we have rashes of breakdowns, and it's frustrating sometimes. It's frustrating, well, all the time actually. But that's what I love about our racetrack. That's what I love about the synthetic. And I know some people don't like it, but I absolutely adore it.
Yeah,
would you like for all of them? Would you like for all the track? Would you like for all the tracks to start going synthetic?
For me, from a selfish personal standpoint, yes. But I just heard the comment from Cassie, like, oh, but I do love turf racing though too. I mean, I've always loved turf racing more than dirt racing ever. I always have, and I've run on both. Don't get me wrong, but I do love the Tapeta. I do. It's just, I don't know. I've become so comfortable with it because it's home to me, and I feel that I can handicap it better than I can dirt. I just feel much more confident with it, if that makes sense. So, but I don't know. I just, like I said, I like it. I know we tried Turfway this winter, and Turfway was tough, man. A lot of good horses up there, a lot of big money too.
Yeah.
Without question.
Well, we have a really interesting question here that I would love to hit on really quickly from Jordan Parks. Given the synthetic surface, does Presque Isle ever have a track bias, speed, or closers? And how does the rain impact track bias?
That is an excellent question. There's no question about that. And what's really weird is usually on the dirt, if you have rain, the front runners usually do better. For us at Presque Isle, we've noticed a trend where if we have a lot of moisture, I mean, a heavy amount of moisture where it's raining for a day or two nonstop, that the horses that close do better than the horses on the front end. It also has to do a lot with our temperature of our track. I've noticed that. For a while, we had last week, we had a lot of horses that closed that have won. There was no speed. Then all of a sudden it changed. When it got cooler, it seemed to change a little bit. There's a lot more days though where it's fair because you'll have both. And if it's not an extreme like temperature issue or moisture issue or anything like that, you'll just see a very, very fair racetrack.
Very cool. Well, you would know better than anyone, Pimo.
I kind of watch every race.
Yep, I would say so.
Yeah. So, but yeah, and it was funny today too. I just want to give a shout out. I don't know if Mike's watching. Mike Papata, it was his birthday today. He won the last race with Adios Bobby this afternoon. And it was funny because I did on the last paddock preview, I gave him a shout out for his birthday. And I went in and shook his hand in the paddock when he was coming out after he sent his horse out. And I said, happy birthday, Mikey. And he's like, thank you. He goes, I used to win races on my birthday all the time. And it was so odd that he said that. And then he ends up winning the last race today with Adios Bobby.
Oh, awesome. Congratulations and happy birthday to Mike Papata.
He's another mountaineer guy. I mean, back in the day. I mean, he trained for me a billion years ago back there and then up here also.
Awesome. So. Well, we're well over the time that we like to stick to. I could talk to you all night. This has been the easiest show ever. Am I right, Sean?
My mom says I never shut up, so I guess that's part of the. I don't know.
No, make our job easy. We love it.
Yeah, we love guests like that.
Well,
Sean, I don't know. I mean, it's just, I love the racetrack and I love what we've built. A lot of us. This is my 5th year of doing the show, and I just sometimes I get frustrated because I watch. And I would never name any names or anything, but sometimes I get frustrated at other simulcast hosts and see a little bit of a lack of passion in their voices and, and just wonder, what's going on there, Yeah. And I love people that have had skin in the game or, I heard something one time. I heard somebody complain about Andy being Cohn on FanDuel and they're like, wow, what does she know? Well, she gets on her dad's horses every morning.
Right.
I think she probably knows a little bit more than you. So, I love people that have skin in the game or get up and go to work every day. And I don't care if they're hot walkers, but they're there and they're working hard and they're trying and they're becoming, part of the machine or part of one of the cogs in the wheel that runs the machine. To me, those are the people that deserve to be there. It's kind of drives me nuts when I see people that have jobs that don't really never had any skin in the game. I don't know. I guess that's just me, but I think when you do, you pay attention a lot more. It's like if you're just watching a race and you don't make a wager, then you're not as interested if you bet a horse and you're screaming for him. So I think it's just more important that people that are in our game show the passion and the desire to be there, because I mean, we're very privileged. Some of us, the stuff we get to do, like, it wasn't this past Monday, but the Monday before when Cass won the Princess of Silmar with Maldives Model, like that was a very special day. You don't have those memories all the time, or the memory I have with Willie winning on Anne's Emblem at Churchill Downs, my first start ever Churchill Downs, my first set of silks. Because remember, we didn't have silks at Mountaineer.
You
wear those stupid. It's ridiculous. You can't use your silks there. It's ridiculous. Yeah. But for me, it was just those are amazing memories for people like us, And I don't care who you are, whether you run at Mountaineer or you run at Turf Paradise or you run at Arapahoe Park or Wyoming Downs or wherever you're at. You win you got that memory, and it's special, especially those first ones. They were very, very special.
It's funny you mentioned Andy Biacone, because anytime I post anything on social media with her, it skyrockets. If we could have stock in somebody, her stock is off the roof at this point.
Hey, listen, I'll be honest, I don't even know the girl, and the only reason why I ever even said that was because I heard that guy say, "Well, what's she know?"
Yeah, well, she's a star.
On her dad's horses every morning.
Yeah.
And I think, maybe, I don't know, maybe you should try and get on a couple horses and see what it's like.
Yeah.
It's not easy. I mean, my hat's off to these people that get on their backs every day. I mean, now listen, I used to play a lot of polo back in the day, but I mean, completely different discipline and completely different game. And, we weren't going 45 miles an hour. We were I was in the Sunshine League down in Sarasota, and there was a lot of old guys, it's like 40 and over. So we really weren't killing ourselves. So it's not easy going out and breezing horses in the morning or race riding. I mean, it's an art. I mean, Jamie, just talk to your husband every night. I know what Willie goes through. So it's a tough game.
I've just got to sum up these comments. There are so many coming in. Obviously, you're very popular. We're definitely going to have you back on. But a lot of people are saying wonderful things about great interview, great guest, great show. And then I love this comment from John De Silva, hoping Cassandra comes to Parks for the Mrs. Penny on the 21st. So you'll have to try and get a little pull in there. And then it looks like
John, he's the stakes coordinator, John De Silva. He's a good guy. Yeah, for sure.
Yep. And then it looks like you're changing some people's minds here. K9 Striker says, it's got me wondering which of our 2-year-olds might do well there. And Grandma Horse Racing says, this is giving me a whole new way to look at synthetics. So thank you so much for all of your education tonight, Pimo. I feel like I've learned a lot too, and I watch you all the time.
Well, I don't know. I hope somebody did. I hope I learned something too, to be quite honest. So, like I said, my mom said it. She goes, I'm so glad we spent all that money on that fancy education for you to go watch animals run around in circles. So, but she knows how much I love it. And it was so funny is my mom watches the show every day now.
Oh, I love that. That's so cool.
So I have one fan. Better. I do. Well, maybe you guys have 3 now.
Hey, my youngest daughter absolutely adores you. She's got to be like right up there with your mom as #1 fan. Well, she couldn't believe that her friend was on TV.
Bring them up, and I'll have her on the show with me.
Oh my gosh, she will literally die of happiness. You don't even know.
I promise. Tell her. I promise. I will put her on the show.
I will. She will love that. All right, Sean, did you have any questions you want to ask before we let Pimo go tonight?
Last question I'll ask is, besides horse racing, what are some of your hobbies?
I love to go boating. Like Cass and I are on the lake, gone every weekend we can, and go to the beach at Presque Isle. That's a lot of fun for us. I used to hunt a lot, especially ducks and geese, but horse racing, as soon as I went to Kentucky, that kind of put the kibosh to that. Those are kind of like and I love, and it's crazy, I love Corvettes. That's kind of one of my things. I love, and especially cars. I've always been car crazy. My dad always had Corvettes. We've always had them. And it's just something that I just absolutely adore. So, I mean, I like sports too. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I always played in high school. I always, played a lot of football, played a lot of baseball, did all that stuff. But horse racing was it became such a passion. I don't think, like, you don't wake up one day and you say, I'm going to pick horse racing. Right. It picks you. And it did. And I remember the day it did. I was 5 years old or 6 years old, whatever the heck I was. And I remember that day sitting there watching, I think it was on ABC then, but sitting there with my grandfather, and I knew that's what I wanted. I wanted to do it. And my parents would never take me racing. They had no interest in it. And all of a sudden I bred a horse that Willie won for me first time, a horse called Paratrooper. And it was my dad. It was named after my dad, who was in the 82nd Airborne. And he was here that day. It's my favorite winter circle picture that I've ever had, because my dad was there. The horse was named after him. And it was a first-time starter 2-year-old that we won with. And we sold it for a lot of money. And it made my life really easy for a couple of years.
Awesome.
But
that is beautiful. I love that.
Kind of a cool story. But it was all about my dad that day, because it was named after him. So it was very, very... Like I said, those Jamie, those special moments, like, you can't ever get them back. Like, they get ingrained in your soul, and it's just like you can't ever forget about them. Yeah. Last Monday when Cass won that stake, I was going nuts.
Right.
I know
I'm
she
sure.
was. It was her first try ever at a stake, and she won. It was just exciting stuff. Those kind of things, like you just
Oh,
don't get enough of those.
that is
But
so
that's what horse racing
cool.
brings to you. It's
So I
just
did
those
not
special
realize
moments.
that was her first try in the stakes race, and she came out victorious. Congratulations to her.
First try ever. I mean, it was just a cool moment. It was just a
Oh,
very,
that's
very cool
awesome.
moment. And it's nice to have a partner who literally loves the same thing you do.
Of course.
It's just very, very, it's special that happens.
That is awesome.
And what's funny about the connection with Maldo's model is that horse was with Aaron McClellan from Penn National.
Correct. Yeah. Aaron trained.
Yeah, we're really close. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. For Tom Coulter. And it was funny when I ran Penridge Farms, I met Aaron out there and I became friends with her. And then she was running horses up here. I introduced her to Cass, and that all just started snowballing. Those two became friends, and she's sending horses to Cass, and Tom Coulter had some horses that liked the Tapeta better than the dirt at Penn. And, all of a sudden it snowballs, and then, Cass wins the stakes. It's kind of exciting stuff, man.
That's
awesome. Exciting stuff. Believe me.
Making those connections always. I love it.
Well, it's all about networking. That's really what life is about networking. And Jimmy, you got to remember too, our industry is not very big. It's really not. It's small. I mean, they say, what is it, 7 degrees of separation? Well, we're like 1.
Yeah, I know.
Because if I don't have that person in my Rolodex, I can make one call and have that person in my phone. I mean, I have like 2,000 numbers in my phone, and 89 to 95% of them are horsemen. So
right.
It is what it is.
There's one last question actually, here's a great comment too.
Okay.
His passion is so infectious. I want to go to Presque Isle. I couldn't agree with you more, Grandma Horse Racing. His show's awesome. I hope you watch it. And then from Ryan Troy Tripp, I will answer this for you. Of all the great jockeys out there today, who is your favorite? It's Willie Martinez. We already know.
It's got to be Willie. If I don't say Willie, he's going to beat me up tomorrow when I see him on the backside. Yeah. So yeah, Willie's always, but Willie's been such a dear friend, and he's that kind of person. If you need him, you call him. He's there for you, and that's what's great about Willie. I mean, there's no two ways around it. It's just we've always had a special friendship for so long now, and that when he raced, when he rode for me when I was racing. Before I was actually in the industry working at Binary, I think that's probably why it became such a special, good friendship and a lifelong friendship with Willie, was because of that. I mean, I've hung out with a lot of high-end people because working for the former chairman of the Board of Breeders' Cup was a big deal. I mean, you have dinner with some famous people, and at the end of the day, I could care less. I'd rather go to the barn and hang out and pet horses. I mean, I'm just being honest with you, but it got to a point where sometimes it was just taxing, but it's an industry where princes and paupers, it's the only industry in the world where princes and paupers can rub elbows.
Yes, absolutely.
There's no question about it. I mean, and I buy horses for some extremely wealthy people. But, I know one in particular literally is worth more than we'll ever dream of. And guess what he'll do? He'll sit down and drink Pabst Blue Ribbon with you.
Right.
And you wouldn't know he has the kind of money he has.
Yeah.
And that's what's really cool about some of these people. I mean, and that's what's cool about horse racing, because it's opened up so many doors for me that I would have never had those opportunities. I came from a very small town outside of Pittsburgh called Rochester, Pennsylvania, in Beaver County. And I swear I was like one of the few that ever left there. And I got introduced to all these other things that I would have never had if it wouldn't have been for the thoroughbred industry, and, and getting to play polo and getting to do all those fun things like that. And, I would have never dreamed about that. But that's what thoroughbred racing does for you. And if you have any desire to own a racehorse, you've got to do it once in your life. I don't care if it's just a bucket list thing. Just go do it. Get it done. Life is too short to not enjoy yourself and love what you do, and just get excited to go watch your horse gallop in the morning. You know how many times I just watched a horse gallop that I owned? To me, it was just like, it was so much fun. It was so relaxing, and you got to watch him get a bath, and, you get to hot walk them, and, it's just, I don't know. It just drives me for some goofy reason, I guess, but that's what makes it special.
That's amazing. And it's funny. I love this comment. I just had to shout this out. K9 Striker says, that's my problem. I'm not in Pimo's Rolodex. So here we are making another connection. But K9 Striker just commented on the show. I think it was last night, right, Sean? That they started off with like a tiny share in a horse. They only owned like a small percentage of a horse. And now they own like a big, like 200-acre farm just full of all kinds of horses. So there you go.
Well, just go to morellbloodstock.com and you can call me.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go. Because I'll get you a racehorse. It won't be a problem. Yeah. Trust me. I know plenty of trainers. I know a lot of people that have a lot of racehorses they want to sell. So
instead of having you back just one time next time, we're just going to do a Patrick Morell week and have you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yes.
You guys are way too kind.
That gets to be my week, Sean, because this has been literally the easiest interview we've ever done.
It's probably because I don't shut up. That's probably why.
No, it's great. But you're so informative. You're not just rambling. You actually have great points. You've educated us so much. I mean, look at the comments are flying in for good reason. So.
Well, I'm glad that I could help you guys out. And I'm just so thankful that Jamie, you're doing this because I know you're a pharmacist. I know you have a regular job. I know you have 4 children. Yes. You got a lot of things going on. And the mere fact that you're doing this also, it's just, it's pretty amazing how much passion that you and Sean have to put this show on and get, and do what you do. I mean, it's a lot of work and people don't realize that. I mean, every day that I handicap, you're looking at 3 to 4 hours that I study the form. And listen, there's days that I'm a bum. I'm telling you right now, I might have 1 winner, and that's it. But there's days where I'll have 7 winners, out of 8, top 3 selections and maybe 4 completely on top. And that's a good day. That's a really good day.
Yeah.
But sure. It's not always easy and it's a lot of work and it's a grind. And that's why I always push the trainers, the grooms, the hot walkers. Those are the people that really make this machine run. It's not us. What I do is just fun. I used to do it for free. I go to the track every damn day. I mean, where I went to college, we had a greyhound track. I mean, I got a greyhound laying on the couch right now. I can see.
How cute.
Oh, he's a cool boy. And, a bunch of us bought him together and we ran him at Tri-State in Charleston, West Virginia. And I told I've had greyhounds for 30 years as pets. And I said, listen, when he's done racing, he's coming home to me. And nobody's going to fight me on it. It's just the way it's going to be. But we would go there every day and we'd bet the dogs, but we would bet the horses in between. We'd watch Gulfstream and things like that just so we could do, we could be part of it. But it was just great memories. Like I said, great memories. My fondest memories are being at the racetrack.
I just noticed a pattern with you, Pimo. You've got the greyhound, you've got the Corvettes, you've got the racehorses. You just like anything fast.
Anything fast. Yeah. I just enjoy it. I mean, and for anybody, I mean, if you've never been to the racetrack and you're watching this show, get off the couch. And you hear me say it all the time. Get off the couch, get out of the office, go to the racetrack. It's amazing. You see these horses, they're unbelievable. Just their biomechanics and how they move and how graceful they are for being 1,200 pounds. I mean, there's an old Bedouin tale that says that I think it was on the 8th day, God took a handful of sand, blew in it, and created the thoroughbred, created the horse. There's just something magical and magnificent about these animals and what they do and what they can do. And what's even better is what they can do when they're done racing too. A lot of these horses that Willie rode, like Paratrooper and Rochester, they're all great event horses now. Right. And the girl who took them, she's been to Rolex 4 times. And, she's amazing. Now she gallops for Cass now. So it's just, it's just, they're not just one dimensional. There's so many more things that they can do. And how many thoroughbreds I played polo on. These little tiny fillies that they couldn't really make the racetrack, but man, they made great polo ponies. That's what's so great about thoroughbreds. They're so versatile. They're so amazing in what they can do. And they give you 110% all the time.
Absolutely. Well, Pimo, this has been an absolute joy. We will definitely have you on again. This has been wonderful. Thank you so much for taking out the time to educate us, to let us know what exactly it is that you do there, and to provide so much value. This has been great.
No problem. No problem. I just got, and Cass just pointed, she's like, hey, What about me?
Oh yeah,
The good thing is she
absolutely.
can't talk tonight. She has laryngitis. So
No, we
deal
would
with her
love to
tonight,
have
too.
you on, Cass, and that's so exciting. I didn't even realize, because actually I was working, but I didn't even realize that was her first stake race and she won it. That's so amazing. So that's going to be a really fun story to dive into.
She was never in a stake race before that, and she just had a little stable, and it turned out well. She picked up Tom Coulter, with some of his horses, and she ends up winning the stake with Maldives Model, and it was just exciting stuff. I mean, and like I said, I can't reiterate more than when you have a partner who has the same passion that you do. And she's not as verbal as me, I talk a lot, obviously, but in her work, she's incredibly passionate, and it shows, and I love it. And there's a lot of people like that, Ron Potts, Mike Rogers, John Fennessy, the people that I love. And, we've got a great chaplain too in Pete Criswell. Chappie. It's just absolutely amazing how he takes care of all these horsemen. And that's why I said, this is a wonderful, wonderful place. And, a lot of people, I think it's like a gem. I saw a bunch of Kentucky boys. Guess what? They're all on their way to Saratoga. Guess where they all stopped today? They stopped at Presque Isle because it's halfway and they want to stretch their legs and watch races. So I think that's pretty cool too.
Yes.
So
I love that. Well, you take care, and we will see you soon. And Cass, we are definitely going to get you on this show as well. Let me know when your voice is healed.
She's giving the thumbs up right now. I see her sitting on the couch with the greyhound. She's giving the thumbs up.
Awesome. All right. Well, you guys have a wonderful night.
Thank you guys so much for your kindness. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, Sean, that was great. We need to just have him on the show every day.
Yeah, that's why I said we do a whole week. It's easy.
I know. Yeah.
I don't think we'll run out of things to talk about either. So
no, I know.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. That's the thing too. It wasn't just, random rambling. It was actually informative and interesting and all of the good things. So that dream come true for us, right?
Yeah, perfect.
Awesome. Well, what else have we got going on, Sean?
So tomorrow we're off. So tomorrow, Charles and Terry, I'm not sure what track they'll do. But they'll be there tomorrow. And then Julie and I will be back next week. And on Monday, we have Chantel Sutherland returning. And then Tuesday and Wednesday, we got to fill that yet and pay attention to our socials at Horse Race Today, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. There you go. Terry and Charles, Saratoga.
Good
Instagram, Threads, every social media you can think about that's popular that we know about.
Yeah. I love this from Jordan Parks. He definitely has some media experience. Yes, absolutely. Oh, and here's another one. Great show. Yeah, that was awesome. Yes, definitely. Sean, you took the words right out of my mouth. Please follow us on all of the social medias. We hope that we will see you there. And we also hope that we will see you in the
Winner Circle.
Good night, everyone.